Hello, this is KT0 bringing you a live commentary on Tempo Prime. For today we have a Allies versus Soviets. On the right side of the map spawning is the orange Soviet whose name is Vid-couch. Very unique name. And on the left side of the map we have our Allies player who's in a color of blue, very soothing, crossbonex. Also a very unique name. Of course, it has to be unique. We can only have one name in a game attack. So, enough of that nonsense. Let's get into that game. First I will have to specify that I didn't get enough sleep last night. In fact, I didn't get any sleep at all. I just woke up in 6 o'clock in the morning and found that I just basically lied on the bed, getting my eyes open for 6 hours and didn't get anything. So if you notice this distinct lack of energy, or indeed too much energy in my speech, please do not be surprised and please bear with me. So, get back into the game. We see our Soviet player sending a scouting bear early on and making its way into our Allied players' main base, seeing one refinery up and seeing nothing else of any sort. So is he going to stay here long enough to detect what tag the Allies player is going for, or is it just going to scout some more infantry coming out, which is to be expected on this map? Just only because this area is so easy to be occupied by infantry, is so key in the combat, during the combats in the mid to late game. The terrain control on this map is very crucial, much more so than that on the other maps that you usually see in the latter pool. So, we see our Allied player has once again going for the Allies' traditional air build and is now going to be producing air units, obviously. And our Soviet player is looking to just be continuously streaming units with specific conscripts all the way across the map, making their way to their opponent's base, perhaps looking to overwhelm his opponent in sheer number. Just look to make those conscripts into best use and let them do maximum damage before they actually die. So, well, it gives you an idea about how cheap the life of a conscript is. What a sad life. So our Soviet player is moving his MCV now. No, it's his MCV now, I assume, towards the center of the map, or indeed this waterside expansion looking to expand, while he's putting up pressure to his opponent with this large number of infantries holding their vodka cans, which I have specified in the last replay is the most deadly and scary weapon of all. And as wise as a pro gamer goes, the Soviet player didn't turn all the conscripts into holding vodka bottled, which would be quite spectacular. Instead, he has 4 of the conscripts on the front line holding their assault rifles, getting ready for the dog, just enough to kill the dog before he can get into range for a effective roll. And we see now the conscripts is going to be happily throwing away their vodkas and at this refinery here, and it's the Soviet player not paying attention. If he gets his conscripts crashed, this pressure cannot continue, and his opponents would have bought himself the precious time that he needs to get back into his pace and start to push the pressure back to the Soviet player. But in the meantime, our Soviet player has expanded into the water. Expanding into the water, always a good strategy. And as for his 3rd refinery, now it's 3 refinery over to the Allies players 2, and the Soviet player has spreaded the infantry and individually migrating them. What a spectacular sight! To avoid being crushed by the very thick, very heavy and very deadly MCV of the Allies player here, and is just keep streaming units towards the Allies player's map, looking to just continue this pressure, perhaps look to deal a significant amount of damage to this MCV just using the infantry. If he actually managed to get this MCV into the red, that would be quite an unusual sight and quite a enjoyable sight as a caster, I should say, to see. Although, well, I'm not one of the players who's playing the game, so obviously I'm not feeling that pressure. All the pressures that they are putting on each other are all delight to me. Haha, what an evil person I am. Never mind, that was just a lame joke. Let's get back. We see Soviet players just still streaming conscript all the way across the map. Now the question is going to come down to whether he can keep enough number of conscripts alive in his opponent's base at any given time, that he would have enough time to reinforce the conscript to a critical number in order to, you know, start to throw vodka bottles to deal critical damage to any sort of structure, or indeed this MCV here. If the DPS is too low at any given moment of the game, then there's no point in continuing this pressure. We will usually see the player pull back with his infantry and get them inside of this building and start to occupy all directs all along the map, and indeed transition. That's a viable strategy as well. Oh, while I was talking nonsense, I actually didn't notice that our Soviet player has expanded yet again to the 2 o'clock of the map. Another water side expansion. He seems to be the water types. Perhaps he likes to swim, I don't know, but he seems to be liking the water on this map an awful lot. And the conscript training are apparently quite useful. They've almost brought this MCV down to red, but keep in mind that given the advanced technology of the Allies forces, their airfields do have these repairing drones which can repair any vehicle of any size, of any, you know, description, and that includes the MCV. Although I might add, the pace of that is particularly agonizingly slow. So yeah, that's one thing to look out for if you're an Allied player, but keep in mind that the conscripts, assault rifles, shooting at the MCV's thick, very thick armor, the rate of reducing its HP is even slower for the Soviet player, so it's just very annoying if you are the Soviet player that the MCV is practically having a infinitely regeneratable health, but since it is in its mobile form, it cannot produce any additional structures for the Allied forces. So during this time, the Soviet player is able to build all the structures that he wants and expand anywhere that he wants. And we see that he has indeed taken up the tier 2, and now he's building a battle lab. Oh, I thought there was a war factory, but there was actually a battle lab. So he's going to take up straight to tier 3 here, looking to outtake his opponents very decisively. Oh, and his opponent just sensing something is strange with this continuous infantry pressure. He senses his opponents doing something very groovy, very fishy. He's just trying to buy himself time and draw the attention away from the Soviet player's main base. So he realizes that he has to get rid of this, you know, infantry pressure nuisance. I don't know what that word was. I'm half asleep, so never mind. Let's get back right to the game. Just he doesn't want to take this infantry pressure nonsense anymore, so he decides to use effectively his air force to demolish this infantry force on the ground and buy himself time to actually press back the pressure to his opponent. And unfortunately, he has got one of his refinery destroyed. Perhaps he's not throwing one bomb at a time, which would be the most efficient way of killing infantry with air unit. But I can't really blame him, because I know how hard that trick is to pull off if you are playing ally. But he has to make a very important strategical decision to transition into an armor facility which will allow him to build ACV once he has enough money, that is. ACV has anti-infantry guns, so they are pretty effective against infantry, and plus they move pretty quickly both on land and in the water, so they are not afraid of the conscripts vodka bottles in any shape or form. So yeah, just like I said, that is given that he has enough money to produce a number of ACV to deal with this infantry pressure quick enough that he would actually be able to pull push back. And since now his opponent does have 4 refineries, his money with the infantry production is basically unlimited. You try to imagine one conscript